Hi, dear students. Yesterday we had discussed about the Maxwell's distribution laws of velocities of the molecules, and we had understood all the concepts about the molecular distribution velocities. But today we are going to discuss about the Brownian motion of the particles. What do you mean by Brownian motion? Brownian motion means Brownian motion, which was Brownian motion of the particles, which was first observed in 1827 by Robert Brown, a botany scientist, who observed with a powerful microscope that the extremely minute particles were floating in water in rapid motion, isn't it? And execute irregular in all directions without coming to rest. And suppose they sing, that means they spin, they sink, and they rise, and again they sink, they will rise, and without coming to rest. If the smaller the particles, if the smaller the size of the particles, that means they more lively and independent of the nature of the liquid, isn't it? Independent of the nature of the liquid. If the size of the particles and weight is same, and they are indefinitely showing any signs of stopping or even abating, isn't it? And therefore, they were so the motion of the particles, the motion of the particles are very rapid in liquids which were less viscous, isn't it? And they are independent of the temperatures. So this phenomenon is known as Brownian motion, isn't it? So here, and he worked a Brownian scientist who worked different types of inorganic substances, such as colloidal solutions, so-called colloidal solutions with a powerful microscope, and he concluded that means the suspended particles the suspended particles under a powerful microscope they appear powerful microscope, they appear like stars of light, like stars of light, and dancing either and thither, that means here and there. Ceaseless. ceaseless random and swarming motion of the particles, and swarming motion of the particles is called Brownian motion of the particles. So here the Brownian motion means, that means the suspended particles under a powerful microscope, they appear like stars of light and dancing either and thither. That means here and there. The ceaseless, random and swarming motion of the particles is called Brownian motion of the particles, isn't it? So I list out the properties of the. Now I am going to list out the properties or facts of the Brownian particles. The motions, facts of Brownian particles. Facts of Brownian particles, that means the motion is completely random and irregular. Random and irregular, isn't it? The motion is completely random and irregular, and that means here so the lower the viscosity of the liquid, smaller the particle, greater is the motion. Greater is the motion. Third one, the viscosity lesser the viscosity of the liquid, and faster is the motion. So lesser the viscosity of the liquid, faster is the motion, and then fourth one. At the same temperature, the two liquids, the two particles move equally fast. At the same temperature, the two particles move equally fast, and then and the fifth one is they were independent of the motion of the particles, independent of the nature of the nature of the suspended particles. Nature of the suspended particles and nature of the suspended particles, and the sixth one is the motion is independent of the temperature of the liquid temperature of the liquid. Seventh one, the motion is continued and eternal. So these are the facts of the Brownian particles. One is the motion is completely random and irregular, isn't it? And the smaller the particle, greater is the motion. So the lesser the viscosity of the liquid, faster is the motion, isn't it? Or at the same temperature, if the two particles being agitated equally, the particles move equally fast, isn't it? The motion of the particles independent of the nature of the suspended particles. This is very important. And the first point and fifth point are very most important. So the motion is completely random and irregular, and the motion of the particles independent of the nature of the suspended particles, isn't it? The motion is independent of the temperature of the liquid, and the motion is continued and eternal, isn't it? So these are the facts about the Brownian particles or Brownian motion. What is Brownian motion? Brownian motion is that means the suspended particles under a powerful microscope, they appear like stars of light and dancing either and thither, that means here and there. The ceaseless, random and swarming motion of the particles is called Brownian motion of the particles, isn't it? So this definition is very important in point of view of the examination, isn't it? So therefore, but examples for Brownian motion. Examples for Brownian motion means pollen grains. Pollen grains, that means the colloidal solutions. Pollen grains. Pollen grain in water. Pollen grains in water and smoke particles in air and mill particles in water. Etc. Isn't it? So what are the examples? Colloidal solutions like pollen grain in water, smoke particles in air, small smoke particles in air, milk particles in water, and etc. So these are the examples for colloidal solutions. So now we are going to derive the Brownian motion of the particles. So by the Einstein's theory of translational Brownian motion. Okay, let us derive that equation qualitatively only. Einstein. Translation motion of Brownian particles. Einstein's theory of translational motion of Brownian particles, isn't it? So here the Brownian particles that diffuse into the medium in due course of time. There exist relations between the diffusion coefficient and the properties of the Brownian particles. Brownian particles, isn't it? So therefore, here the Brownian particles, that means Einstein calculated the diffusion coefficient. He considered 2 points. One is random motions of the molecules, and also, and another thing is random motions of the molecules, and another thing is the osmotic pressure, the difference between the osmotic pressure of the medium with the difference in concentrations, isn't it? So therefore, one is going to calculate about the Brownian motion of the particles. So calculation of the coefficient of diffusion. First one is calculation of the diffusion coefficient. B. Due to random motions. Random motion of molecules. Random motion or rapid motion or irregular motion of the molecules, isn't it? So now we are going to this is a gas cylinder, and it is having molecules. So it has molecules, or it contains molecules, isn't it? So here S1 and S2 are the end phases of the cylinder, and N1 and N2 are the concentrations of the molecules, isn't it? And here A dash is the plane. It is exactly at the middle of the cylinder. The plane, this means it is a reference plane, isn't it? Reference plane, and dN by dx so dN by dx is the concentration gradient along the x-axis, isn't it? So here d delta is the displacement or length of the cylinder, isn't it? And P1, P2 is the pressure difference on both sides of the end faces of the cylinder, isn't it? So here we can suppose, due to the difference in concentration on both sides of the cylinder, there will be cause of diffusion, isn't it? Due to the difference in concentrations. So therefore, the dN by dx concentration gradient is developed along the x-axis, isn't it? And the displacement in a time t, that means each particle suffers a displacement in a time t, isn't it? So therefore here N1, N2 are the concentrations of the particles, and P1, P2 pressure difference. And S1 and S2 are the two phases. Two phases of the cylinder. A dash is the reference plane, isn't it? dN by dx is the concentration gradient. And delta displacement. Displacement of the particle in a time t, isn't it? And so therefore here N1 and N2 are the concentrations of the particles or molecules, P1 and P2 are the difference in pressure on both sides of the cylinder, isn't it? So therefore now here reference plane. A dash is the reference plane, and which is kept at exactly between the cylinder, isn't it? So therefore, the number of particles, N2 particles will travel N2 particles will travel right to left, and N1 particles will travel left to right, isn't it? In a time t per unit, or crossing the reference plane per unit area per unit second, isn't it? Or per unit time, isn't it? So therefore, here the number of particles will travel from left to right in a time t. Therefore, of the displacement of the particle, that means displacement of the particles, delta n, isn't it? Delta n. And from here, N2 particles will travel from right to left in a delta N1. So N1, that is equal to half into delta N2. So the net movement of the particles, or the net transfer of the particles crossing per unit area per second by the plane A dash is given by half into delta N1 minus N2. So because here, of course, N1 is greater than N2. N1 is greater than N2, isn't it? So this is the net amount of particles or molecule crossing the plane A dash per unit volume, per unit area, per unit time, isn't it? So half delta into N1 minus N2. Here, so this is equation number 1. This is the net molecules. Net molecules crossing the plane per unit area, per unit second, isn't it? Now, the diffusion coefficient, according to diffusion coefficient, that means the concentrations change uniformly. Therefore, the fall in concentrations of that means a concentration gradient. The fall in concentration gradient along the x-axis will the x-axis is per unit displacement. X-axis is per unit displacement is given by dn by dx equals minus n1 minus n2 per unit displacement, isn't it? Or a distance apart, per unit distance apart, isn't it? So n1 minus n2 divided by delta. That means this is the fall of concentration. Fall of concentration along the x-axis. That means n1 is greater than n2. That means, so the concentration goes on decreasing along the x-axis, isn't it? n1 minus n2 divided by delta, isn't it? This is equation number 2. But equation number 2 we can substitute here. But n1 minus n2 equals minus delta into dn by dx. Equation number 3. Now we can substitute equation number 3 in 1. 1 by 2 delta into n1 minus n2 is equal to minus delta into dn by dx. Isn't it? So therefore, what it becomes? Minus of delta square into dn by dx. Isn't it? But Here, the number of particles or the number of molecules crossing the unit, crossing the plane A dash per unit area per second. In a second, in a time t is given by equals of delta into delta square minus half delta square divided by t. Because per unit time, isn't it? dn by dx. Equation number 4. Isn't it? So now, minus half delta square by t into dn by dx according to diffusion coefficient. Diffusion coefficient is given by, that is, the number of molecules passing the square centimeter area per second for unit concentration gradient, for unit concentration. Therefore, that is minus d into dn by dn. This is the definition of the diffusion. So minus d into dn by dx, isn't it? So this minus d into dn by dx is equal to 5, equating 4 and 5, minus d into dn by dx equals minus of d delta square by t into dn by dx. So here dn by dx will go and minus minus gets cancelled. So therefore, what is the remaining? So diffusion d is equal to of delta square divided by t, isn't it? So this is the diffusion coefficient. Equation number 6, isn't it? Equation number 6. So here, now we have to consider another thing. Another thing means that is the difference in the osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure. The difference in the osmotic pressure difference. Determination of D from osmotic pressure. That means from the difference of in osmotic pressure between the two end phases. Isn't it? So now we are going to calculate D from osmotic pressure. Calculation of diffusion coefficient due to osmotic pressure on two end phases. So calculation of the second thing is, so we have to find the diffusion coefficient from osmotic pressure of the two end faces of the cylinder, isn't it? Calculation of So now we are going to calculate another D, that means pressure. We know that the pressure developed on both sides of the end faces of the cylinder is P1. The pressure of the gas, we know that the ideal gas equation P1 is equal to N1 KT and P2 is equal to N2 KT. So here KT, K is the Boltzmann's constant. Boltzmann's constant, T absolute temperature. absolute temperature, isn't it? And N1 and N2 are the concentrations of the cylinders, concentration of the molecule in the cylinder. P1 and P2 are the pressure difference, isn't it? So therefore we can 1 minus 2, P1 minus P2, we can make P1 minus P2 into N1 minus N2 into K2, isn't it? We know that this equation. So here pressure is equal to N1 minus N2 into Kt. We know that pressure is equal to force by area. We know that this is the basic equation. Force by area. Therefore, we can write force is equal to pressure into area, isn't it? But force is equal to pressure. Pressure is equal to what? N1 minus N2, difference in pressure. So N1 minus N2 into Kt, N1 minus N2 into Kt into area is equal to area per square centimeter. Square area means A square, length square, therefore 1 unit area, therefore 1, isn't it? F equals N1 minus N2 into Kt, isn't it? Kt. So this is the pressure developed in the cylinder N1 minus N2 into K2, isn't it? And we know that rho equals M by V. Rho equals M by V or volume. Volume is equal to M divided by volume is equal to square area. Area means 1 into delta, isn't it? 1 into delta. Delta means this is the distance, unit distance. The delta distance, isn't it? Because the cylinder is in length, delta, isn't it? So M is equal to, you know that rho is equal to Mn equals M is equal to Na Avogadro number into M. So therefore divided by 1 into delta, isn't it? So M gets cancelled and Na is equal to Na Avogadro number divided by delta, isn't it? So that is equal to Na equals number of molecules in the cylinder equals N into delta. N into delta. So that means the number of that means this pressure acting on the molecules. This pressure is this force is acting on the molecules. This is for one molecule, isn't it? So Na is equal to N into W. N into W is for one molecule. Therefore, we can write force equals N1 minus N2 into Kt divided by delta N, isn't it? The force acting on the molecule per delta N molecules, isn't it? Per delta N molecules, where delta is the displacement of the cylinder or displacement or length of the cylinder, isn't it? Per unit length and molecules, isn't it? N1 minus N2 into Kt. So this equation is called number 6, isn't it? But here we can another thing. So N1 minus N2 divided by delta is equal to what do we? So what did we write already? What did we write already here? So N1 minus N2 divided by delta equals minus dn by dx, isn't it? So this is the fall of concentration. Already we had assumed. So here n1 minus n2 divided by delta is equal to minus dn by dx. Therefore we can substitute, instead of this quantity we can substitute this. Okay. So therefore f equals, I will write here. Please, you have to follow everything, otherwise it will be conflict, isn't it? So f equals force equals n1 minus n2 divided by delta equals minus dn by dx into kt divided by n, isn't it? Divided by n. So this is equation number 7. And we know that when the molecules having viscous, so therefore according to the viscous force, viscosity of the molecules or viscosity of the gas in a cylinder is given by, that means force acting on the gas is given by F is equal to 6 pi eta R into V. So where eta is the coefficient of viscosity, eta is the coefficient of viscosity, eta is the coefficient of viscosity, and R is the radius of the particle, and V is the velocity of the particle. Velocity of the particles. So therefore these two equations combined are in equilibrium. So we can get 6 pi eta Rv equals minus dn by dx into kt divided by n, isn't it? Or nv equals minus dn by dx into kt divided by 6 pi r eta, isn't it? 6 pi r eta. So here nv is equivalent to the number of particles, that means the diffusion coefficient. That means according to the definition of diffusion coefficient means the number of particles passing through the plane per square unit area per second or in a time t is given by nv equals minus d into dn by dx, isn't it? So therefore, this quantity is equal to minus d into dn by dx. That means d is known as the diffusion coefficient and dn by dx is the concentration gradient, isn't it? So therefore minus d. Now equation number 9. So equation number 9 and 8. Equation 8 and this is equation number 9. This is equation number 10. So equation number 9 and 10. We get minus d into dn by dx equals minus dn by dx into kt divided by 6 pi or eta, isn't it? So here minus minus will cancel, and dn by dx is also cancel, isn't it? So therefore d equals, what is remaining? D is equal to kt divided by 6 pi or eta, isn't it? 6 pi or eta. And now we are going to again this equation number 10, this equation number 10, sorry, equation number 11. So d is equal to kt divided by 6 pi or eta, isn't it? So now I am going to rub these things. So therefore now we can calculate what is d here. So now we can equating 11 and 6. Equating equations 6 and 11. So we get d is equal to kt divided by 6 pi eta or equals of delta square divided by t, isn't it? And now what do we get finally? So here, so 2 ones are 2, 3s are 6, isn't it? So therefore the displacement d square is equal to k. What is k? Because r is equal to gas constant is equal to r is equal to nk, na into k. Therefore k is equal to r divided by na. So instead of k we can substitute r by na also. Na is the Avogadro number of molecules and r is the universal gas constant. K is known as the Boltzmann's constant, isn't it? So here, so RT divided by T, RT into T divided by 3 pi eta R, 3 pi eta R into Na, isn't it? Na is the Avogadro number, R by Na, isn't it? T. So this is known as displacement, average square displacement of the particles, Brownian particles in a cylinder containing gas molecules, isn't it? Gas molecules are particles. So this equation RT, where R is the gas constant, T is the absolute temperature, T is time in which the molecules are crossing per unit area of the plane, and 3 pi is the constant, eta is the coefficient of viscosity of the gas molecules, R is the radius of the molecule, and Na is the Avogadro number of molecules. So this is the complete theory of Einstein's theory of translational motion of Brownian particles, isn't it? So now, so we are going to discuss again vertical distribution of the gas molecules in a unit volume, isn't it? Now we are going to discuss about the vertical distribution of gas molecules in a unit volume in a vertical cylinder or vertical column, isn't it? Vertical distribution. Vertical distribution of gas molecules in a vertical column. That means the Brownian particles, the distribution of Brownian particles in a vertical column. We can say the Brownian particle, the distribution of Brownian motion of the particles in a vertical column, isn't it? So now we are going to discuss about the vertical distribution of Brownian particles, number of molecules in a unit volume, in a vertical column, isn't it? Vertical distribution of molecules. Suppose the cylinder there is a cylinder having end faces vertically. The cylinder is in vertically situated. That means here the displacement is Z and here is dz and here is Z plus dv, and here also P plus dP, and here is T and here is dP. These are the gas molecules. So now, consider the equilibrium of an imaginary vertical cylinder of unit cross section in a gas molecules, in a gas having end faces at a height Z and Z plus dz, increasing vertically upwards, and P and P plus dP are the pressure on both the faces respectively, P and P plus dP, P and P plus dP. Here rho is the density of the gases. Rho is the density of the gases. Isn't it? So therefore, here the pressure, that means the force acting on the molecules, the force acting on the gas molecules or Brownian molecules vertically under the force of gravity is given by we know that pressure is equal to rho g h, isn't it? Pressure is equal to rho g h, where h is the height of the cylinder, g is acceleration due to gravity, rho is the density of the gas molecules. Height is equal to vertical column, that means a unit cross section area into h, that means volume. Volume is equal to a square equals 1. A square is equal to 1, that means length into length square is equal to 1, and dz is the height into a. So this is equal to volume. So therefore, here volume is equal to 1 into dz. So P is equal to rho g into 1 into dz, isn't it? 1 into dz. So now the force on the molecules, gas molecules, vertically acting is given by P is equal to rho g into, because force is equal to P into area, pressure into area, therefore force on the particles under the action of gravity is given by rho g dz, isn't it? Rho g dz, because unit area of cross section. So here this is the force, equation number 1. So this force is acting on the gas molecules, isn't it? So we know that what is rho? Rho is equal to mn. So m is the mass of each molecule, mass of each molecule. Each molecule, and g acceleration due to gravity. Due to gravity, and rho density of the gas, and N mean number of molecules, per unit volume. Mean number of molecules per unit volume, isn't it? So therefore, and here rho is equal to mn, and we can get so now from equation 1, this is equation number 2, and we can obtain the net force on the molecules along the vertical direction. Therefore, here P plus dP minus, from equation number 1, P plus dP minus P plus rho g into dz is equal to 0. So this is the net force acting on the gas molecules. This equation tells us about the net amount of force acting on the particles due to action of gravity. So therefore, P gets cancelled, and dP is equal to equal to rho minus rho into G dz, isn't it? Minus rho into dz. So this is equation number 3. Isn't it? And now we know that perfect gas equation. Perfect gas equation. PV, P is equal to NKT, where N is the mean number of molecules per unit volume, that is K is the Boltzmann's constant, T is the absolute temperature. Here P is the pressure according to the gas constant, according to ideal gas constant. Therefore, PV is equal to RT like that. And therefore here, so if we differentiate this equation, dP is equal to dN into kT, isn't it? dP is equal to dN into kT. Now we can substitute equation number 4. Can substitute in this formula. So dN kT is equal to minus rho G into dz, isn't it? Rho G into dz. So here dN, so that means dN is equal to minus rho G dz divided by kT, isn't it? dz divided by kT. So this is equation number 5. Equation number 5. So now I am going to rub these things. dN is equal to minus rho G dz divided by kT. So now here rho is equal to Mn. You can substitute this equation. dN equals Mn. dN is equal to minus Mn into G dz divided by kT, or dN by N equal minus mg dz divided by kT. So this equation number is 6. So if we integrate this equation, we can get integrating the above equation. We get, so dN by dz is equal to log E n log E n equals minus mg divided by kT is constant, therefore mg divided by kT into z. So the integration of dz is equal to z plus k, where k is known as the constant of integration. Constant of integration, which we have to determine, isn't it? We have to find the integrational constant. So this value must be found out. So here, so log E n is equal to minus mg divided by kT into z plus k. So therefore, applying the initial conditions for the cylinder. So now z is equal to z naught, and then at z is equal to z naught and n equals n naught, isn't it? So now substitute these initial conditions to the equation, above equation. We can get log E n is equal to n naught, that is equal to minus mg divided by kT into z is equal to z naught plus k, isn't it? Or k equals, again k equals log E n naught plus mg divided by kT isn't it? So now this is the value of equation number 7. Value of k. Now we can substitute k in this equation, isn't it? So in this equation we will get, equation number 7 and equation number 8. Now equation number 8 in 7 we get log e n equals minus mg divided by kt into z plus what is k? Log e n naught plus mg divided by kt into z naught, isn't it? Now you can take left side log e n naught. Log e n naught you can take left side. So therefore log e n minus log e n naught equals minus. So we want minus sign. That's why minus mg divided by kt in both the factors. So what is the remaining? Z minus z naught, isn't it? Z minus z naught is you can take out common. Mg divided by kt you can get common from both the terms. Okay. So now according to Lagarde's formula, log a minus log b equals log a minus log b is equal to log a by b. Therefore log a by b n naught equals minus mg divided by kt into z minus z naught, isn't it? Or n divided by n naught equals e to the power of minus mg divided by kt into z minus z naught, isn't it? So this is the equation which we require. Or n equals n naught e to the power of minus mg divided by kt, mg divided by kt into z minus z naught. So this is the required equation. That means the gas molecules exponentially decreasing as the height increases. Height of the cylinder increases, isn't it? So z minus z naught. So now we are going to learn again about the here what is k. K is equal to r. Here k is equal to r by Na, because k equals r by Na, or r is equal to Na into k, isn't it? Gas constant. Therefore instead of k we can substitute r by Na. So now n equals number of gas molecules. N is equal to n naught into e to the power of minus k is equal to Na into g divided by RT into z minus z naught. So this is the required equation. This equation tells us about the molecules, the number of molecules exponentially decreasing as the height increases, as the cylinder height increases. So therefore this is the complete equation, isn't it? And one more thing, now how to find Avogadro number? Avogadro number of molecules. Avogadro number of molecules in a cylinder. to find Avogadro number of molecules or determination of Avogadro numbers. Determination of Avogadro numbers. So in the case of colloidal solutions, the force is, that means the particles acted upon by a force of gravity in downward direction, in upward direction due to the buoyancy of the liquid, isn't it? Buoyancy. Buoyancy of the liquid, isn't it? So in the case of colloidal solutions, the force that means the particles which are acted upon by a gravitational force due to the downward direction and the upward direction due to the buoyancy of the liquid, isn't it? So here rho and rho dash is the density of the gas molecules and intra-density of the molecules. Isn't it? So therefore the volume of the gas is given by volume is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube into volume. So this is the volume of the gas molecules, where r is the radius of the gas molecule, isn't it? But rho is equal to m by v, and here m is the mass of the molecules. That means effective mass. That is equal to effective mass of the molecules. So what is v here? Rho into v. That means 4 by 3 pi r cube into rho minus rho dash, where rho is the density of the gas molecules and rho dash is the intramolecular density of the molecule, isn't it? Intramolecular density. So therefore the effective mass of the liquid is given by 4 by 3 pi r cube, isn't it? 4 by 3 pi r cube are gas molecules, effective mass of the molecules, isn't it? So now we can substitute instead of m in this equation 4 by 3 pi r cube into rho minus rho dash. Now n is equal to n naught into e to the power of minus m is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube into rho minus rho dash into Na divided by Z divided by RT into Z minus Z naught, isn't it? So in this way we can get the number of molecules, mean number of molecules per unit volume in a vertical column. Vertical column is exponentially decreasing as the gas cylinder height increases, isn't it? Now we have to find the Avogadro numbers, and here, so now we can apply the logarithms on both sides. That's why log e n by n naught equals minus 4 by 3 pi r cube into rho minus rho dash divided by RT into NEAG into Z minus Z naught. Isn't it? So now 3R 4 by 3 RT 4 by 3 RT. Now we can shift the entire equation except NEA. Therefore, Avogadro number equals Avogadro number of molecules equals 3 RT into logarithm of log E n by n naught divided by 4 pi R cube into rho minus rho dash into G into Z minus Z naught. So this is the required equation to find out the Avogadro number of molecules, and we know that this Avogadro number well known. Na is equal to 6.023 into 10 raised 23 moles. 23 moles. Na it was 6.023 into 10 power 26 moles per meter cube. Isn't it? Moles per meter cube. Isn't it? So therefore, Na is equal to 6.023 into 10 power 26 moles per meter cube. So in this way we can find the Avogadro numbers. So let us stop here, and tomorrow we will continue. So you have to learn properly these derivations for the examination point of view. Okay, thank you one and all.